Do you think it's ironic that on day 4, the ones that he gave authority to separate are called rulers? And these rulers are how we determine when the Passover, Day of Atonement, and all these other days are, or even how we go from one day to another day. All of this is what brings me to make the statement that I will now begin to repeat continuously. The heavens and the earth are mirrors of each other, which is yet another reason for the symmetry and repetition to illustrate that point. The earth and what happens on earth, it is the thing, but it's not the only thing going on. There are things in heaven that need rulers, and there are things on earth that need rulers. Shalom, shalom. Good evening. Happy after the Sabbath days. Welcome back to Study the Bible, Not the Sermon TV. This is Mehalak, the slow Genesis walkthrough. If this is your first time here, welcome to where we've come to understand strange Bible stories. And if you move by something you see, hear, or read while you're here, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and then slide on our notifications bell. And if you're a regular here, drop me a comment so I can shout you out on the next joint. Remember, repetition as a tool that is used to explain or further the story. Now, this is part 2 of the repetition sub-series in this Genesis slow walkthrough. Today, we're going to focus our attention on the concept of separation. All right, so let's read it then. Verse 4, 7, and 10. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. So we see the word divided repeated on day 1, day 2, and then later on day 3. And then later on, day 3, instead of divided, it says gathering together, which seems like the opposite. But what's being gathered together? This is a technique here. Repetition of words introduce keywords. But once a word has been introduced, the idea can replace the word and further the repetition. In this case, dividing light, dividing water above the earth, then gathering of the water under the earth is still a certain type of separation because the dry land appears up out of it. This then can become a theme or a motif where anytime a Bible character is about to get reborn or recreated, you have these moments of separation. Separation of the waters, Israel, Joshua. Lastly, we want to express the point God said is a key word or key term or key phrase. And now that that phrase has been introduced as we move on in the scriptures, or as you move on in the scriptures, it doesn't have to specifically say God said and then God said for us to be connected back to Genesis. It could just say, thus saith the Lord, or some other synonym that means the same thing as God spoke. Again, like the 10 Commandments, it says it just a little bit differently. It says God spake all these words and said. And even further, the idea can be introduced with or without any actual words from the first original term. So the waters were separated by the firmament. And then in Genesis chapter 1, verse 9, it says the water was gathered together so the dry land appears. So at first read, you might not think of this as separation, but literally what the gathering together of waters do. They separate the two realms. They separate the earth where the humans live from the sea where humans cannot live. Actually, it's death, right? Anytime you talk about water, come on, y'all. In my bag. Do you think it's ironic that on day 4, the ones that he gave authority to separate are called rulers? And these rulers are how we determine when the Passover, Day of Atonement, and all these other days are, or even how we go from one day to another day. All of this is what brings me to make the statement that I will now begin to repeat continuously. The heavens and the earth are mirrors of each other, which is yet another reason for the symmetry and repetition to illustrate that point. The earth and what happens on earth, it is the thing, but it's not the only thing going on. There are things in heaven that need rulers, and there are things on earth that need rulers. The Bible sometimes is needlessly repetitive, but this isn't for no reason. It's always strategic. I pray you're able to utilize this technique to understand the scriptures more like a Hebrew as you study our Father's word. Check us out next week, and we're going to keep on pushing. But for right now, we up.